it's nudged me a little bit more to a tiny bit more to the positive side, to the point now where I'm indifferent. Which is just, that's terrible. You know, that's just awful. Well, hello everybody, it's Super Jesus Jackson back at it again with yet another video. This time we're talking about Superman again, because Warner Brothers, James Gunn released a sneak peek, a first taste to Superman, this upcoming superhero film that comes out in July. This is a 4-minute and 50-second sneak peek. I think a good 30 seconds or 45 seconds is stuff that we've seen before, but there's plenty of new footage. Everyone's been talking about it. Everyone's already made a video. This was unveiled at CinemaCon in Las Vegas. You all know how I feel about Superman. Not very excited. I've not been a fan of the suit, of the tone of the movie, the guy behind it, directing it. No. I'm gonna go watch it. I'm gonna go watch it and see it day one. I'm gonna be there. If it's good, I'll let you guys know. But overall, from what I've seen, not a fan. Let's see what this sneak peek does for me. Okay, we're getting, similar shots from the original trailer. Such uninspired shots, man, right from the very beginning. It's just, there's nothing special to them. It's just... I'm sorry, I can't get over that suit, man. It looks awful. It looks so bad. Crypto.
Stop!
He's fucking flat.
Stop! Stop! No! Crypto! Crypto! Stop! Crypto. Take me home. Home.
It's CGI dog is always a little weird, but it's, you know, it's whatever.
Crypto. Home.
This music is terrible. It sounds so fake. That's cool. The Fortress of Solitude coming out of the ground, that's really cool. Not the best CGI, I'll say that, but, you know, as it is.
Superman! Thank you.
No need to thank us, sir, as we will not appreciate it. We have no consciousness whatsoever. Merely automatons here to serve. Meet 12. She's new.
He looked at me.
14 fractured bones.
Damage to bladder, kidney, large intestine, lungs.
With a healthy dose of yellow sun, we'll have you up and at 'em in no time.
That's cool. I like that. Really cool.
Level 4?
292 times Saharan Prime, please, one.
music's not doing it for me.
He's back.
Oh, God.
Superman.
So from what you can tell of my reaction there, the biggest crime this movie right now is doing with its marketing and really, I mean, it's giving us, we're getting more and more of this movie, getting a taste of what it's going to be like. The biggest crime that I'm feeling is that I'm actually feeling so indifferent, so meh about it. Like, that's the most frustrating thing about it, is that I'm feeling nothing. Like, you know, at first I felt, you know, anger and extreme kind of, you know, distaste, you know, for the suit and everything and all that. But like, as we're starting to get more and more of it, obviously I'm not going to recycle the same old reaction. You know, I've already seen the suit. I hate it. The tone of it, you know, is already making me gag, you know, it just, and I just know a lot of my opinions right now are just going to be misconstrued. But anyways, I'm over it. I'm over that stuff in the sense that I've expressed my distaste to that, you know, whatever. Let's keep seeing what, you know, let's keep seeing some of these teases. Let's see what happens. And now I'm getting to the point where it's just like, this is just doing nothing for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go see it. You know why? The only reason I'm going to go see it, you know why I'm going to be there day one? Because I love Superman. Because I want to see some decent action. I want to see Superman on screen again. That's literally the only goddamn reason I'm going. You know what I mean? And that is so sad. That's like the same attitude that people have when they say, I'm going to go just catch the next superhero movie because I want to see punches and pows and zips and I want some good action. I just want a fun, decent movie. That is what I expect from this movie. And that is like literally the only reason I'm going to see this movie. And that is the worst thing ever, because this is the greatest superhero of all time. If there's any movie that I want to be amazing in the superhero genre, if there's any movie that I want to move me, to make me, you know, be like, God, that was the best superhero movie I've ever seen. You know, if there's any superhero that deserves that, it's Superman. And the fact that I'm seeing this and I feel nothing is so disheartening to me. And here's the thing. Look, when I say that it doesn't have the tone, you know, it feels so bleh. It feels so corny and cheesy in all the bad, uninspired ways. That's what I mean. Like, look, I know Superman is supposed to be the embodiment of hope, and he was the embodiment of hope, even with Snyder's version. People say that you know, it was too dark, it was too brooding, and there was no hope, and there was no joy. The thing about those films is that they were sophisticated in their storytelling, and they didn't shy away from the darkness of the world. And they showed how these characters, these superheroes, these gods among us, had flaws, and they overcame them, and they became the heroes they needed to be. I mean, isn't that the most inspiring goddamn thing in the world, dude? And the fact that people think that there's just no character development with the original Snyder films, with Superman, it's bonkers to me that they think that. Absolute bonkers to me, you know? The guy ends up falling in love with humanity. The guy ends up, you know, choosing humanity over anything else, choosing hope, choosing, you know, courage. that is literally Superman, and he inspired everyone in Man of Steel, in Batman v Superman. He was literally the beginning, the Zack Snyder's Justice League. He's literally the center, the heart of that group, besides Cyborg, you know, like. But and then people, you know, are saying, people are praising this movie here, being like, oh my God, finally. How it began, even with Superman being all vulnerable physically and everything, and be like, oh my God, we're finally getting like a vulnerable Superman, you know, people are relating, you know, and then you have this dog who comes in and like, you know, and he's having dog problems, you know, and like this dog is like just not well trained, and it's similar to how when you adopt a dog for the first time and it's like a sheltered dog and it has some problems, and it's like so relatable and it's so cool, and like Superman is weak, and it's like, I'm so happy we're seeing a weak Superman, you know, he's always been super powerful and it's never been relatable. Give me a goddamn break. Give me a goddamn break. Give me a break, dude. You know what I mean? Like, God damn it. Superman got his ass kicked in Man of Steel. He got his ass kicked in Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Oh my God, dude. Like, it just, that doesn't make any sense. And then obviously he was both physically and emotionally vulnerable in those movies. And then here, you know, we're probably going to see both, you know, to a certain extent. You know, I heard in an interview between James Gunn, David Corn Sweat, and Rachel, I can't think of her last name, but the woman who plays Lois Lane. You know, it's kind of cool. They were talking about how the movie's going to have this dynamic of how Lois Lane and Clark Kent have two different worldviews. You know, one of them tries to, Superman, he's so optimistic, you know, he always wants to see the good in someone, whereas, you know, Lois Lane is a little bit more jaded, you know, and that's pretty cool, you know, cool. And you know, there's going to be some problems with that, and, you know, the trailer we've seen, you know, there's people throwing soda cans at him, you know, so there's going to be a little bit of, like, people, people kind of crapping on Superman, and then people are going to love him, like the little boy, you know, and, like, there's going to be a dichotomy of that, which is really, really cool, you know? And, you know, the thing about this movie is that I know it's not going to be boring. You know, there's going to be some stuff in there. I've enjoyed, you know, moderately some James Gunn movies. You know, it's going to be fine. But, like, that's the thing, is that's the crime, is that it's just, like, it's not going to do anything to me. It's not going to make me want to study it, or just analyze every single moment of it, you know, and not everything is going to be a metaphor, you know, not every piece of dialogue is going to be gold, you know, like, it's just going to be a serviceable movie. And that is the crime. That's the problem that I have with this movie, is that the more I see from it, the more I just know I'm going to have a decent time at the movies. And that's not what I want from my Superman film. I want to go home and have a fucking crisis. You know, I want to be like, I want to analyze this film for months. You know, like, that's what I did with Zack Snyder's work. And some of you are going to call me, you know, an elitist. Like, oh my God, why does every goddamn movie have to be that? But it's like, I am tired of getting movies that are just serviceable, especially in the superhero genre. And we've gotten that so much with Marvel films. Marvel just completely flooded us with that type of movie. And then we've gotten to the point now where we're gagging, you know? That's why all these Marvel movies are doing badly now, because they're just, that formula's old. You have to do something new. You can't just like keep feeding us superhero soap opera. You know what I mean? At some point, it's going to get stale. It's going to get boring. It's like what happened with Westerns, dude. You have to make it good. You have to make it sophisticated. You have to grow the genre. And Marvel did that for years. And now their movies are not doing that well. People are sick of it. You know what I mean? Like, and then some people will say, well, Captain America Brave New World is not as great as Infinity War. And, you know, you might be right in that assessment. But I'm willing to bet, and I'm willing to say that, in general, Marvel's formula and strategy for delivering these movies to the degree and to the quantity that they did, the movie suffered. It was essentially superhero soap opera film. That's what it was. Whereas Zack Snyder's movies and some of the DCEU films were more sophisticated movies. They were movies that made you think a little bit more. That's the type of stuff that I want out of my superhero films, because superheroes need to be treated with that sophistication, because they are our modern Greek Roman gods. That is who they are. you know, and the fact that people just treat these guys still like they're just, you know, kind of fun at the movies type of people, it just bothers me. And look, I'm not saying that every movie has to be sophisticated, you know, has to be The Shining or whatever. I'm not saying that, because there's some DCEU movies that I enjoyed that are not that deep. You know, I'm not gonna lie, Aquaman. I think Aquaman is a perfect blend of actual heart, meaningful heart, and some fun. And it's like a lighter movie, you know, it's not as, you know, heavy, I would say, as Batman v Superman or anything like that, but I enjoyed that. Superman, I fear, is not even going to be Aquaman. It's going to be even lighter than that. And if it's an Aquaman type movie, cool, all right, you know, I'm happy, you know, but for a character like Superman, I mean, I don't know, dude. It bothers the hell out of me. It really does. And the humor's not really doing it for me. You know, it's charming, you know, it's alluring, you know, the dog comes in and it's clearly going to tell that story. Crypto's going to be, you know, a little bit of the heart of the movie, you know, and there's going to be development there, you know, between Superman and Crypto and their relationship. Like, I know it's going to be there, you know, and it's going to be some very, very, very light to no, like, tears, you know, coming occasionally, you know, maybe. I don't know, but it's gonna have just a mix of everything, and at the end of the day, it's gonna have some, you know, it's gonna have some humor, it's gonna have some action, it's gonna have some, you know, some emotions, it's gonna have whatever, it's gonna have all those things, and at the end of the day, it's going to do nothing deeply. It's just going to be a nice Swiss Army knife, you know, a jack of all trades movie that just ends up delivering indifference, you know. Like, I'd rather this movie be absolutely awful or exceptionally good than just a mid-tier, okay, that was a fine movie. That was a good Superman film, whatever. That's not what I want from the world's greatest superhero. It's not what I want. Hell, I mean, I don't really want it from anything, you know? Give me greatness, you know? And I just know a lot of you are going to be like, you're just such an elitist, you know, get a life, you know, like, or just, you know, enjoy something once in a while, whatever. Say what you want, but this is what I think. You know, and honestly, before I watched this sneak peek, I was like much more, you know, anti-Superman, like, you know, anti-James Gunn Superman. After seeing this sneak peek, it's like, okay, you know, it looks like it's going to be a decent movie, perhaps. You know, it's like, it's nudged me a little bit more a tiny bit more to the positive side, to the point now where I'm indifferent. Which is just, that's terrible. You know, that's just awful. Oh my God. When you see movies from filmmakers like Zack Snyder, like Christopher Nolan, like James Mangold, like Sam Mendes, I believe that's his name, yeah. Those movies, every single shot is intentional. Every single shot. It's framed perfectly. It's lit perfectly. There's intention behind it. The guys, they spent, you know, an hour on one single shot because they're trying to make it perfect. I'm not saying James Gunn doesn't do that. I'm just saying that, like, even from just a purely cinematic level, just from a filmic standpoint, this movie bores the hell out of me. Just the way that it looks. It just looks like someone just got a camera and just started shooting. And was like, okay, we need some shots of snow and a mountain. Boom, we got it. We need Superman, you know, in the snow. Cool. We need to open the door. We need to just see them carrying him. We need to, you know, the coolest maybe shot in this whole goddamn movie is, you know, a little bit of when the camera kind of went up overhead and you just kind of see Superman's body being carried by the robots. That was a cool shot. And a little bit of the, when he's screaming, you know, after getting hit by the sun. It's cool. You know, it's lit cool right there, you know, and the Fortress of Solitude is really cool. I will give it that, you know, it's really cool. It's fantastical. It's very all-star Superman, which is cool. And I think at the very end of the day, that's probably the best thing that this movie can be is, you know, not an adaptation, but like, you know, just as like not a direct adaptation, but as close to All-Star Superman as you can possibly get. That's as best as this movie can possibly be. You know what I mean? Like, I otherwise I don't see how this movie can be even remotely good. You know, and it looks like it's kind of shooting for that. You know, it's done some homages to that with Superman and Krypto standing, you know, sitting, staring at the moon and stuff like that, and you know, and the way Clark Kent looks, you know, the type of, you know, kind of bimbo, you know, kind of look to Superman. That's probably as best as this movie can possibly do. And, you know, and that's a that's a compliment, you know, because that's not even a compliment. That's kind of a diss, because it's like, you know, it can't even be originally good. It has to adapt something heavily, you know, or remind me of that, you know, to be great. I don't know. But yeah, cinematically, it bores the hell out of me, which is a crime because it's a movie and it's boring to look at. You know what I mean? Like, it really is. It's uninspired. It just feels so overly trying to be, you know, Marvel-y that it just ends up saying nothing at all, you know? Hate Zack Snyder all you want, but at least his movies say something visually. They make you feel something. They you know, it does something, you know? At least it's intentional. So that's also the biggest crime in this movie so far. So, hey, look, I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. Trust me. I want to be wrong. But those are my thoughts on this sneak peek for James Gunn's upcoming Superman film. But enough of what I have to say. Let me know in the comment section below what you have to say. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Are you excited for this film? Do you think I'm full of crap? Let me know why. We can have a thoughtful discussion, argument, debate, whatever you want to call it. But if you agree with me, please let me know in the comment section below. We don't want it to get too negative down there. Give this video a like if you liked it. Dislike it if you didn't. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Share with your Superman-loving friends, or James Gunn-loving friends, if you will. Or James Gunn-hating friends. If it's your birthday, happy birthday to you, you beautiful creature. But I think that's it for me. You all take care. Stay safe. And until next time, I love you.